Good morrow, my sweet strangers! Welcome to my DIY Crafty Handed channel. Today you are welcome to join me in my workshop. Do you have some unused scrap wood? I'm told I have piles of pet wood in every corner. Well, I guess it's true. But today I will use some. Let's make a wooden toolbox, garden box / gift box. Actually not my first one, because I fell in love with them and had to make a few as gifts for my friends and family, and of course one or two for myself. I will not measure much today, because I'm using scrap wood, trying to waste as little as possible. Let's start with making the sides of the box first. I'm using the whole length of my short ends, just squaring the ends off, and of course making both the same length. I'm terribly sorry for the occasional jerky cam. It was regretfully placed on my workbench, so I will try to cut it out as much as possible. I'm using 80 and 60 grit sandpaper to clean up the fuzzy edges because my saw blade is not very fine. It's a good idea to sand away from yourself in the fiber direction to eliminate uncontrolled edge chipping, even though I'm a fan of worn and shabby look. I also lightly sand the sides to take off any splinters. The scraps I have are also different widths, so I combined a couple to get the right width for the box bottom and adjusted the length so it would fit between the ends, for which I found some scraps that were already cut at an inspiring angle. I like the angled ends, but to make things a bit more difficult, I have decided to make a curved top. First, I drew a template on a piece of paper folded in half. I marked the center of my wood piece for the alignment, and I traced the angled sides and then just freehanded the curve. I cut it out with a carpet knife, just because the scissors were somewhere in the kitchen, and then transferred the shape to my wood. Okay, about my fancy cutting rig. A couple important things. Have the piece you are cutting above the table high enough so you don't hit it with the jigsaw. Second, use a piece of scrap wood between the clamp and the wood you are cutting so you don't damage it. And of course, use the proper eye protection, a respirator, and cut with care. After cutting the first half of the curve, I decided to flip the wood upside down, because it would be too tricky to continue the cut on top of the curve. So I traced my template on the other side and cut the other half of the curve from there. I cleaned up the edges again with the 80 grit sandpaper, and because one side of my board was way too rough, I decided to take the fuzz off with the 60 grit sandpaper. I made two identical pieces, and it was time to mark the handle, so I refreshed the top center mark. I was lucky to find a long enough piece of a round dowel in my pet piles. I placed it on one of the ends to see where the best spot for the handle would be, and I marked it. On both ends equally, of course. I put the ends on the outside of my box bottom and the sides over the ends to measure the length of the dowel. The dowel will not go all the way through, even though it could if you secure it with the glue or a nail. Mine will be closed between the ends, just about halfway in. I mark the length from the center to the center of each end, and I cut it to length on my chop saw. Of course, I clean up the edges with sandpaper. I choose the closest size of my butterfly bits, just slightly larger than the dowel, and I will use it in my hand press to make the handle sockets in both ends. I mark the desired depth with masking tape to not drill the hole too deep. I pre-drilled the holes for the nails I'm using to attach the bottom, so I would eliminate the possible wood splitting. I also get the nails ready halfway in, so they are waiting there for me. I'm gluing the bottom pieces together so they would hold better. Then after placing the handle into the pre-drilled sockets, I close the bottom piece between the ends and nail it together. And now the sides. I just nailed them down. My sideboards are from a soft pine, so I'm going on the assumption the nails will go in like butter and the wood will not split. And the box is done! Now just some finishing touches. I decided to do an ivory base coat. I'm using a basic water-based wood paint, slightly thinned down. I'm not too neat because I will be adding more coats later. The second coat is going to be the same paint but in turquoise color. And remember to always stir your paints before painting. And again, I'm leaving unpainted spots here and there for the shabby look. The final touch is the white water-based stain. I like to paint the whole box with it. The stain dulls down the bright color and fills in all the unpainted spots. I especially try to work it into all the depressions. I guess it's unnecessary to point out to let the paint dry between the coats, right? In the end, you can decorate the ends with some stencils of your choice. Unfortunately, I didn't film that part, but if you like, I can make a separate video on stenciling. So this one was for a woman, and the other one for a guy. Thank you for staying with me till the end, and I hope to see you next time.